Have you ever had to end a friendship to save a romantic relationship? And have you ever had to end a romantic relationship to save a friendship?
I would go with the second. I know the phrase bros before hoes. You've had these people with you growing through. They know who you are. And if somebody would have ill will against the people that you grew up with, then who are they really going to be in your life?
Do you think it's possible to have opposite sex friendships? Ever since you got with your partner, did you think that you needed to avoid all opposite sex friendships for fear that your partner wouldn't understand? If that's ever crossed your mind, I have the episode for you. Today, I'm bringing my two brother besties onto the brave table. My dear bestie, broski, Himanshu Jocker, and my brother, Erwin B. Valencia. We dig into the importance of having opposite sex friendships, how to cultivate them, how they can actually enrich your current romantic relationships.
When I'm showing up for any of my friends, I'm genuinely in love. I love them, but I'm not in love with them. But I also want to make sure there's a boundary which is in my head in terms of how that energy I want to give. Feeling is definitely that. Energy is another part in my case.
Do you think men and women can just be friends without any romantic tension?
Oh, wow.
Hey loves, do me a quick favor and hit the subscribe or follow button wherever you are tuning into this. It helps grow the show more than you know. Thank you so much again and enjoy. Lately, what I'm seeing on the interwebs with the Gen Zers is that people can't have opposite sex relationships or friendships. So let's start there. What are your thoughts? Do you think men and women can just be friends without any romantic tension?
You being a living example, a greatest testimony of that. I share such a deep bond with you. And I also feel like there's just not one soulmate in your life. You know, there are many soulmates, all right? And that's the connect I feel with my friends.
And you have a lot of girlfriends.
Say what again?
You have a lot of girlfriends.
I do, yeah. I mean, friends who are girls, yeah.
Yes.
Can you clarify that?
Yeah.
Before we get deeper into that semantic.
In a minute, yeah. But no, I mean, regardless of the gender, it's another human who you have a deep connection with. And I feel like personally, you know, all of these other filters have been put by the people around. So nonetheless, coming to the point, 100%, 1000% that you can have, and I do have it. I mean, I can speak on my behalf, but I know he does too.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, definitely for sure, yes. You know, undoubtedly. And I think it really depends on the role that you play in that person's life. And I think that's where the understanding of what that relationship is. And I think the challenge with the younger generation nowadays, they don't see where their role is. They just see what's in their face right away because of the time they don't spend to get to know that person where they would fit in their life. And I think for me, as I've gone through the years of the many female friendships I've had, I think the role that I've played most often is either a mentor, or B, an older brother, a kuya, as we say in Filipino. But also besides that, just having a friend that can give you feedback from maybe your own challenges as it relates to another female. That's always been something I've depended on. I mean, my best friends in high school were women. And yes, I had my guys, but when it came to real conversation, sometimes my guys would always bring this masculine energy up, like, yo, bro, no, that ain't working, or whatever. But rather getting a true answer by deep diving. And I think for me, I've always gotten that from women more than I have with men.
And so this is a great segue, because what do you think that you find in your female friendships that you can't have, and I'm talking platonic female friendships, that you can't have in your male friendships? Because I know sometimes you'll call me and you won't call Ajit, and you'll tell me stuff that you won't tell Ajit. So
that must be so interesting. You're like, wait, Himanshu's calling you? He's not calling me? Like, babe, don't worry. I got this.
Or Himanshu and I will talk for hours, and I'm just like, what are you guys talking about?
I mean, for me, it's the emotional growth that I've experienced through my female friends. That's been leaps and bounds. I talk about care and love, or love and care, like the care element part of it, the kindness part of it, like the nuances of going to the detail part of it, to understanding the unspoken part of it. Those are few of the things that I'm just mentioning right now, but 100% that has come through my friendship, through my, through my female friends for that matter. And that's something that has benefited me to then tap into, actually made my bond with my buddies even stronger. Because that's something that, with bros, we might lack that a little bit, right? I mean, we will talk about, because we all want to put up a brave front. We're going to go fight it out. We're going to do
brave
it of
front.
Yeah.
On the brave table.
On the brave table. So yeah, that's something that I think I personally have emotionally learned a lot and benefited a lot from those friendships. Yeah.
I mean, it's true what they say, obviously science has proven that women mature faster than men do. And I think as you grow up, especially during your teen years, if you are yourself confident enough with who you are, being able to be a little bit more vulnerable to women has been easier for me growing up compared to men, because men will still have that sense, maybe that boyishness when you're a teenager of, like he said, it's like showing up differently, peacocking in a different way, rather than just having like serious conversations. Yes, I think when men bond with men in a more safe space and there's a true understanding, that really is a different kind of bond. But especially when it comes to things like romance, I think I've always find more confidence in being able to ask these deeper questions to my female friends, because they can give me a side that my guys won't be able to give me. It's something that it's inherently on the opposite sex that I am interested in. So they'll give me better insights in a sense of what women want, rather than assuming what women want, because my guys aren't women. So I think that's how, for me, has always been, in a sense, a difference maker.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also feel that with the male relationships, there is at least from the female perspective, I feel like I've gone to you both while both of you have feminine and masculine tendencies. We're going to get into toxic masculinity in a minute, but I think that it has been a safe place. And I don't know, this is up for debate and discussion. Do you think that you feel more feminine when you're having those conversations with other feminine energies? Or does it fully change if you're talking to a masculine woman as well?
That's a good question.
I don't know. I mean, I know sometimes I could be more in my masculine, especially when I'm commanding, doing, screaming. Himanshu, you didn't book your flights for like the 10th time. You're gonna sleep on our couch again. Okay.
That's a very interesting question.
And I don't know. I don't have the answer.
No, I think you're right. I mean, I think if a woman is in a bit more of her masculine, then as a man, I feel like I have to, in a sense, mirror that. I hold more space. Or even actually saying that, even when a woman is in her feminine completely, having challenges, so to speak, with her own life, being masculine, being a hold space as a strong rock has been my role with that. But when it comes to, ironically, you're right, I think when it comes to my fellas, being the listener, being the one that puts the hand on the shoulder,
that is a feminine
if you
trait.
want to consider if you call that a feminine trait, that's probably the role that I find myself being part of or owning at that period of time, rather than the, hey man, I'm going to hold space for you. Because,
stop crying. Don't show emotion.
So I think you're right. I think what happens is it flips this. I flip the switch when it comes to that, not even knowing that actually happens naturally.
Likewise.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the situation is demanding in that moment, and how I'm showing up for that person. Because I'll play in my different tendencies also. Like, you're going to be owning your masculine side more. In some cases, of course, going to be owning your feminine side more in that case. And what's happening on the other side, you're just showing up, what's needed for that individual in that moment. And that's okay, 100%, whichever side they tap into it, because that's also season, phase, stage, a moment for that matter. And it's also a fleeting one.
Yeah, and it's I think it's really beautiful that we can have that dance, because I think it's not common in various communities. I mean, Brave Table fam, we all are a little crazy. Right now we're doing this episode in a tiny little place called Tallinn, Estonia, which is phenomenal. And collectively, we've all come here at least a couple of times together. And I think that because we also have shared commonality, shared vision, and shared values of whether you want to call it consciousness, whether you want to call it just being aware and growth oriented. And if you are watching this on YouTube or listening to this and you're like, man, I don't have these conversations. I would love to have more conversations or develop more of a relationship with just a guy friend. What would you suggest?
For me, just personally, I think the number one thing that needs to be established is, once again, I think from the beginning, it's what do you feel your role is for that person? And I say that clearly is because if you're not mindful of that, then the lines will be blurred. And then when the lines are blurred, then there could be a romantic tendency that would been whether not called upon or would then create tension. So in the beginning, I think establishing that and being mindful and taking a step back and saying like, hey, this is how I see you, I love you, but know that it's not that way. And yes, maybe it's not the first conversation, but if you are aware or conscious, you'll kind of already feel the vibe in the beginning.
Like basically you're going to friend zone them.
In a sense.
In the beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning.
Okay.
Instead of trying to play that role, unless, like I said, if sometimes the lines can be blurred, and yes, there's sweetness that could be occurred, but if that sweetness is coming from the friend zone from the beginning, then there's an understanding for that.
That it's purely platonic.
Yeah.
And I know that you've had certain situations with blurred lines. And I mean, let's just talk about boundaries, because this is huge. It's huge. I think it is one of the key reasons that it's why there isn't that strong foundation of a male-female opposite sex relationship that's platonic, because the boundaries haven't been set. And so where have you noticed that perhaps people have thought otherwise, or they thought there was a romantic inclination and you're like, hey, but I was just trying to help you out. Has that ever happened? And how did you navigate that?
Quite a few times. And that's in both ways, I would say so.
And did it end the friendship, or were you able to come through on the other side? And this is for both of you.
That has happened. And I think that has been because of the lack of boundaries, sometimes from my end, sometimes maybe from the other side. And when I say that, it's right in the beginning of that particular relationship. When I say that relationship also, it's just, to be two strangers coming together. They're friends, they're more than that. Regardless of that, I feel like because we're exploring each other and in that moment, and since it's just, I approach every individual because I'm genuinely curious about them. Because I'm genuinely showing a lot of interest. I am genuinely curious about that individual, whoever that I'm meeting. Now, that curiosity, and it also is aided with presence, and I love to give that presence to that individual. I'm genuinely coming, once again, I'm using the word genuinely way too many times, but it is so genuine because I'm just there, and it hasn't even crossed my mind that it could go in that direction.
Oh, people think that you're actually trying to hit on them.
It's not even the case. They definitely will. It's not even hitting part of it, but they definitely would feel that I'm super interested.
Interested in them romantically.
Oh, well, it's just interested right now.
Yeah.
And then if you continue showing that interest, then it could be misread like that. But then in my head, if I'm genuinely interested in somebody from more romantic angle standpoint, then I will do extra mile, and I'll do extra things from my end, which I personally think so will, at least in my head, qualify it to be that relationship. Nonetheless, I do not treat the other individuals any less. So that could be misread sometimes because I'm just genuinely showing up. Once again, the word genuine comes up.
Well, and I feel your energy is quite open. Both of you have really open energy. I mean, I have open energy as well. And sometimes that can be misconstrued as, and that's kind of where energetically perhaps the boundaries need to be, or do they need to be?
That's the $1 million question. Do you want to set those boundaries immediately, or do you want to see how it goes? That's how it almost feels. Do you want to flow to it, or do you want to create the rules in the beginning, so to speak? And I think just like Himanshu here, we're both good energy people. and sometimes
good and high energy.
yeah,
people.
good and high energy people, where sometimes that could be misconstrued of like, A, are you really always this happy, or B, are you really always happy with me from the opposite side? When I think for me, I get into trouble all the time. I mean, I'm clearly, everyone looks at me, it's like, you're the Mr. Wholesome guy. So when it works against my favor, when I actually see somebody or feel somebody or I connect with somebody or I feel I want to go beyond, then actually it hits me the opposite way. They're like, but you're the Mr. Wholesome guy. Are you more wholesome with me and more focusing on me, but you're wholesome with everybody. So it actually works against my favor sometimes to be that good energy person, because those I truly am attracted to don't really know if I am, because I am like that with everybody,
Oh,
male
that
or
is
female.
interesting.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe I'm sweeter when it comes to a female, where like I give them a little bit more hug. I do the same thing with the guys, but then I do that with every female that I know that I feel like connected to. But yes, let's say if somebody I'm interested in doesn't see the difference of how that is as I treat them, even though it's not massively different, but as you said, that extra step, if that person isn't really aware or conscious of you doing that extra step, they'll just misconstrue it and say like, oh, well, he does that for everybody.
Same. I mean, that has happened. You just narrated it so beautifully, because that sometimes also, this high friendly energy can get backfired sometime in the areas where you genuinely interested in that individual. That has happened with me, at least. I mean, I'm just going to say for myself, because you're just so, like, you're friendly with everybody, right? So they are sometimes also friend zoning you, thinking, okay, you're just friendly with everybody.
Or they're skeptical and they're like,
Yeah.
Oh, that it could be
skeptical is a
fake.
massive,
You're
that's
being
fake.
fake.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a big one.
That's not
the
real.
case.
Yeah.
And should be genuinely good people. Yeah.
Yeah, and also another challenge with that too is that, let's say, for example, there is a genuine interest from, let's say, me to a woman that I have interest in. The challenging part there is that the energy that I give out is so magnetic and magnificent that then once you set that boundary and say like, hey, I'm actually just not friends, I'm interested in you, then oftentimes what I've gotten is like they don't know what to do. Should they pull back or not? Because they don't want to lose that energy that you bring and go away, especially if you say, hey, I get we just want to be friends, and they're like, but then if you say I just want to be friends, then you're not going to give me more of that energy that you give. I'm just going to feel like I'm like everybody else.
Yeah. Oh, like special attention.
Yeah.
The special attention.
Yeah. So that is also a backfiring situation that occurs.
Oh, that's
A lot.
interesting.
You know.
So, because currently right now, you both are single.
Ready to mingle.
You can DM them both. At.
Slide into my DMs, please. I'll talk to you like this.
Well, and so my two single brothers, who are quite fabulous, and me, married, mom of two, you obviously have a relationship with my partner as well in many ways, and this question of open energy and boundaries, because I think Ajit and I, obviously, we all come from the same kind of vision and way that we all live our lives, is that yes, we are open, but we actually know we're anchored in ourselves, that while we're open, I'm not giving you sexual energy.
Yep.
This is a pure, fun energy. And fun, when I'm saying fun, I mean, you guys can describe and define what your kind of fun is like. I think for me, it's just that childlike playfulness. It's that playfulness, awe, energy of joy and love. And I know that that's how Ajit is as well. And I think it's hard when others who are not kind of vibing on the same kind of
Level.
values
Yeah.
and ethos and belief systems that we are, it can be misconstrued as, oh, do you have an open relationship? Or, oh, what's the deeper meaning behind that? Like, is there a deeper meaning?
Yeah.
So have you experienced this with others and who are also in like strong relationships, like-minded relationships, or even not like-minded? And what has that been to navigate?
For me, I've always said that the higher we go on the mountain, the lonelier it gets. And I say that because the group of friends that understand you the most and understand the vibe that's currently happening, the higher in consciousness you go or higher in awareness you go, that becomes smaller and smaller. You almost have to a point that you have to look at the other mountain to see what's in the other mountain of other people that are doing this, because it does get misconstrued. And I think the biggest challenge for anyone in the same group or vibe or crew, so to speak, is that how do you, in a sense, maybe switch your brain up to be a little bit more empathic to those who don't share that same values or like-mindedness at this current moment. And I say this because I have some dear friends who I grew up in the Philippines with, that obviously till this day we're still close friends. Every time I go home to the Philippines, we always have dinners and stuff, but there's certain things that I can't talk to them about. There's certain acts and ways or the relationships I have, as I describe them, aren't as I guess graphic as you like to say, because they'll be like, oh wow, you're kind of like you go in those directions, or you try to do, you're like that. And I was like, no. I like to explore things now a little bit more, but I'm also more mature. So, but we've grown up together, but because some of them haven't quote unquote grown up as much as I have, then I have to be more empathic to where they are rather than trying to impose my new thoughts to them.
Yeah. Yes, that's really big. That's really big.
I was just thinking when you were just asking this question, actually, a lot of my friends, who I'm really good friends with now, actually, I became friends with the girls first. And then I ended up actually knowing, the significant other half, the partner, life partner. And then, we hit off really, really, really well.
Yeah.
And in some cases, that friendship even grew stronger and even more bolder and bigger for that matter. So that was just one of the thoughts that was coming to me. And the reason it was coming to me is also because every single time I am, meeting these friends of mine, in my head, I've already placed them in a certain bucket, section, area, domain, which is where they are super, super safe and comfortable with me. Because that is a vibe and energy is not even going out to them.
Yeah.
And that's why when they come together, it's always been in a state of flow. It's always there. It's just comfortable for everybody to be around. So boundaries are there, and I've set those boundaries in my own head. And this is never, ever going to happen. Like, rather, I'll show up for them if anybody else is coming and doing it. Like, I'm part of the crew now. Somebody comes and does anything to you, says anything to you, Ajit is there or not, I'm there. Yeah. So that's how I'm kind of it's always there in my head at least. Yeah. And that's why this energy also then, that's the vibe energy you also give out. So they feel comfortable, they're there. And so boundaries I put it in my own head actually.
I probably, no, I think, no, I agree with that. I do the same thing. So as I meet somebody new, and immediately we connect, and in a sense, in my head, I'm already saying, okay, this person is going to be a little sister to me. This person, I actually have actual categories. I have my little sisses. I have my angels.
I'm your little sis.
Yeah, I have my angels. I have like my booster beasts, which are like the fans of gratitude gang and all that stuff. There's literally categories that I actually have that I place.
But see, that's the thing though. If you're interested in then somebody, in a girl, and somebody you want to pursue, how does that
then they're not in
they're not
they're their own category. They're the potentials.
The potentials.
The potentials.
Okay.
And also when I'm showing up for any of my friends, I'm genuinely in love. Like not in love, but I love them, but I'm not in love with them. I mean, that's the difference. I'm also, I mean, the person that you're gonna be with, of course I'm gonna show that I'm in love with you. I mean, it's gonna show in your eyes, your twinkle is gonna be there, those puppy eyes, and all of that stuff is gonna be there. But with my friends, for sure, I love them all. I love love in general, so I want to express that thing, and I don't want to put any boundary to it.
Right.
That part I want to just give them as pure as possible. It could be my dog, it could be this planet, it could be my friends. It could be anybody. Like that as a feeling, as an emotion, I want it to be experienced so unadulterated. So that's why I want to show up like that. I want to give that part of it. Because the more I also give, I feel like the more I also receive. So yeah, I don't want to hold on that. Like that is a boundary I don't want to put. But I also want to make sure there's a boundary which is in my head in terms of how that energy I want to give. Feeling is definitely that. Energy is another part in my case.
Yeah. And because, yeah, I feel like there have been even times where I've got advice from you and you outside a budget, and to have just a strong other masculine presence who we can play, we can talk, we can kind of shoot the shit. And it's just, it's like a brother energy. And I think, I mean, growing up with two brothers, for myself, that's a really powerful energy. And maybe sometimes I could be like the bros, you know? And so how has it ever come where, you know, because I feel like, and I've heard when we've taken polls in our community, that there is a sense of jealousy. Let's talk about jealousy, because that's a juicy one.
You're spicing it up.
We're spicing it up. We're going there. Has that ever come into play when you were dating somebody and then talking to your female girlfriends? Have you seen it play out in situations? And what are some thoughts?
I mean, juicy is exactly it. I mean, I'll go ahead and say that I actually, from when I'm about to get really serious with a woman, I already say in the beginning, look, I have a lot of female friends, and you have to accept them. If not, this is not going to work. Ooh. This is just how it is. I don't want you to get jealous, because no, at the end of the day, you're the one I come home to. And I think no matter how much, and this is something that I've had to learn, particularly since as part of the social dancing community, particularly that I've been in part for 20 plus years, is that if you're with a partner that doesn't dance and thinks that every time you go to a social, you're trying to hit on girls rather than just practicing your skill, then that's always going to be a point of friction. It's a little bit better if the person is part of the social dancing community, but then there's obviously a little bit more drama because you're part of the same community. So it's always a bit of a challenge for me to explain to somebody who I want to move forward to in a relationship that, hey, I'm going to be surrounded by women all the time. This is just who I am. This is energy that I exude, that I have, like I said, I have my angels, I have my little sis, I have my besties, and I have people that I find a space that I can console to myself that is probably going to be a woman. And if that makes you jealous and you can't handle that because you yourself aren't powerful enough to really be in your own strength, then this is going to be a challenge from the beginning, and this is not going to work.
Bye, Felicia.
Yeah. Peace. Love you, but peace.
I mean, it's a natural emotion, right? It will be there because it's a byproduct of something else that was there first, which is love, which is care. That's why I feel like this is the other side of the coin, and it's gonna be there. So it needs to be addressed in a way where I'm literally right in the beginning. I'm telling you, you mean the world to me. You're the one I'm gonna come back to home every single night. Rather, I want to instill that trust and faith so nicely and anchored, so grounded like into it that you don't even have to worry about it. In a social setting when you're out there, of course, and as E just very rightly pointed out, because the kind of energy we exuberate, we have, all sorts of people are going to be part of this circle. But when I'm out there, I'm constantly will make sure that my partner, what I've just said, it's just not talks, it's actually is in action. Even if I'm talking to somebody, I will make sure that I'm going to look around and look for that quick eye contact and just pass that smile. I want to be, if I'm flirting with anybody, it's with my partner. With everybody else, love is still being given.
Yeah.
But with you, I'm flirting throughout.
So there's a distinction, flirting with others. I mean, flirting with your partner, but the energy, the frequency of love, you're still going to be exuding.
Yeah.
And what if that makes her feel unsafe?
Me or her?
Her.
And that's exactly why. I mean, it's the acts. This is where I come from. So it's, for me, one of the, my love language is also acts of service. So I'm going to show it in action. I will, even if I'm talking to 100 other people, I'll make sure that, your drink is taken care of. Even if I'm walking around, I'm just, that sudden kiss on the peck is going to come from behind. That's me, actually. So I will just not say it. I will rather make sure that's put into action so she knows that my man is around me and my man is with me, period. With everybody else, he's showing love, which is something that, I love to learn from my other female friends, the love, the nature, nurturing, the taking care of the relationships part of it. This is exactly what we have learned in that moment. And that's exactly what I'm doing over there. So I'm actually giving the credit back to you. This is how you have made me a better person, a stronger person in myself. And thanks to you. And that little act of thank you in terms of giving that hug, giving that kiss, making sure you're taken care of, that's always going to be there. That's how I like to do it. So I want to make sure that she's never, ever, that's the last thing. That's not even a thing that she's been considered upon. I like to eliminate that thing right in the beginning, because this is how we are, because how strong our bonds with all the friends is. And I just want to make sure that she knows that she's super comfortable with all of this.
Was there a time ever where you were dating somebody and either your crew didn't accept that person or other people in the crew felt slighted, or because jealousy can happen within your partnership and then it can also happen with other outside
of that, yeah.
Outside of that. And I know that you've dated some girls and you brought them in and we're like, what?
I know.
We're
gonna go there.
He doing? Brave Table fam, if you have a guy bestie, girl bestie, and you know that they bring somebody in, you're like, wow, their shit stink. Like, what? Why? What happened? You know that they belong with somebody else, or they've chosen somebody, and it's because we all want the best for you.
True.
Or you see something that you probably shouldn't have seen, and it probably changes your perspective about that person. So then, how do you react?
Well, that's why I make sure that I'm at least further in the journey before I introduce them to you. Before, because now it freaks me out. Because you're gonna be like my mom, be like, okay, what do you got? Who are you? If Himanshu's experiencing that, I'm gonna definitely make sure that it's further along in the journey. Like, by the way, babe, this is my little sis, Neeta.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, hi. Are you like his real little sis? No, really, but he's my big brother. So watch out. Oh.
Don't you do him wrong. Don't you dare.
That has happened in past. And I think I'm learning and growing up through those experiences. And as he said,
I'm just here going to witness this situation right now.
Yeah.
She's like, I know exactly who I'm talking about. He's like, I know who she's talking about. And I'm like, okay, fly in the wall mode.
Hey, you know who you are. But no, I think, I've had my fair share of learning in terms of, who is the right person for me, or who I'm a right person for. But and that has come through my past relationship experiences also. And through that, I've also realized maybe they were not really the fit for the larger community that I'm part of, that I actually belong to. And it's not, ultimately, it's the person that I choose to be with. Ultimately, it's my life, my choice, totally, it's going to be like that. But I have realized that my friends have played such an important role in my life. I am who I am because of the massive contribution that has come through all of those shared experiences together. So there's a part, an element of me that they know, that they understand, but sometimes even I can get blindsided. I mean, love is blind, right? Duh. In my case, it goes complete blind. So that's why we need you, soul sisters and soul brothers who can see something which I am not able to see. And you guys did see those things. I choose to ignore it.
See how he wore the word used did.
Yeah.
Did. I mean, it's happened multiple times. It's not I'm about to do, did.
Yeah. That was one of those I said so moments, but you didn't say it, and I knew it, and I realized, and I was like, duh. So yeah. No. I think making sure, I personally this is one of my own personal promises, to make sure that they're going through the litmus test first. Because I know you guys know me, understand me at such a deeper level that sometimes, and you also know my flaws. You know where exactly I'm going to go, which I'm going to go blindsided with. So yeah, I feel like.
Well, do you think your community's approval of your partner is important? Or no?
Acceptance.
Community meaning like close friends, soul family, however you want to label it, maybe siblings, but yeah.
Yeah, for me, more than the approval, it's the acceptance. And acceptance would only come because they know what's best for me, and as part of the larger group also. So yeah, definitely. Because, and I'm talking about my fam is today itself in the afternoon today. I think Ajit was introducing me to somebody, and he was saying we've been friends for the last 25 years, and that just when it just struck me, I was like, bro, we know each other for 25 years. I mean, if you're friends with somebody for more than 7 years, they're not friends anymore; they're family. So it's for me, it's my community is just not anybody else. It's my family. So is my family? Does my family have a say? They certainly do. I actually have given them that say.
Yeah.
Now, will that influence my decision in terms of who I'm going to be with? I mean, that gives me an added layer to think about it. And of course, they mean well for me. And in my case, it's been proven. Yeah, they always meant well. And sometimes I got a little strayed, and then I'm like, duh, you said it, but you didn't, I didn't listen. So, of course, I feel like acceptance, more than the approval, the acceptance part of it. Because that's that family we're going to grow together with further. How are we going to have different experiences otherwise? Then I'm going to be, left out, or I'm not going to be part of that community anymore then in that case. And that did happen, by the way. That's where, in my last one at least, where I literally fell off the cliff in a way. Because I was so engrossed in my, personal relationship in that moment. And that's where my growth also started.
That you lost the rest of your friends.
Yeah.
Or you isolate yourself.
I isolated myself.
I think going with that is exactly, I think, to answer the first question you ask, it's not necessarily about jealousy that I'm worried with the people that are around me or even with my partner. It's more the fact that the sense of time often disappears when you're inherently, especially at the beginning of a relationship. And if you're still not sure if that person is the person for you, then there's this weird gut feeling you have. It's like, I'm not sure I'm ready to introduce you to the crew yet. So there's a period of time that gets lost, and the rest of your soul family or crew are like, dude, what's happening to you? You're usually the person that brings everyone together, and you're never around anymore. And I'm like, no, I'm around. It's like, yeah, you show up, but you're not really showing up.
Yeah.
Because not even from the point like, oh yeah, you're in a place and you're friends gathering, but you're so focused on trying to please your partner because of the fact that you're still trying to figure out what's going on, because there wasn't inherently a good solid bond from the beginning, that now you're not like even having her really be part of everything because you're not really sure what everyone will think. So I think that comes from the fact that there's the confidence you have with the person that you're spending your time with isn't something you're confident that your crew will accept.
Yep.
So it's coming up to him it's about acceptance, but also I think inherently it's in us that we pull away because we're not sure for ourselves if this person is actually good for us.
Ooh, that's good.
So that what happens is that, well, if this is not going to work eventually, then why will I then introduce them to my people?
Because I could totally see if you were to do that, I'd be like, oh man, what the heck? Like he's choosing that person over everybody else. Like we're his like ride or die. Like we'd want to get to know her too, or that person too. But you're saying that it's because maybe
there's something inside
you don't know. So I think Brave Table Fam, if you're listening to this and you have a friend that's pulling away, maybe they're unsure whether or not if this is that person, and they're probably navigating their own set of things in their mind. And there's also the sense of shame also.
Absolutely.
Like the shame that like, I told you so's, because I've been in that situation early on where I've stopped talking to a lot of my friends in a previous relationship because they all didn't like my partner. But I didn't realize that I was so enmeshed in that particular, and it was a toxic relationship, but I was so enmeshed in it that I started listening to whatever that person was saying about my friends that have been friends for like 10 years. Yeah. And so I think that you're right. If you don't have a solid core in yourself, that you tend to acquiesce. And there's this thing of, there's always one person in a relationship where the one person is easier to coerce. And then there's another person who's easier to collapse.
Yes.
So the coercive one and the one who collapses.
Yeah.
And so if you have that, and that's a dynamic in a relationship, then it becomes this dance. And then when you're in group or in friendships, that, nobody wants to see anybody else's drama, especially if they don't really. So then we make meaning of that.
Yeah, and so that's why I think some of the best relationships I've had are those that I can not only confidently, almost very immediately introduce them to my people, but also at the same time leave them with my people and see how she would shine in there. And when I see that, then my love meter just shoots up to the roof.
Oh, I second that. 1000%. Yeah.
Aww. When they finally.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they finally meet them,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's like that proud, like.
Yeah, it's a sense of pride.
Yeah.
It's like
I
girl
did
right
good.
there.
That's my girl. That's my baby.
I did good. I did good is the right word.
I did good. Okay. Have you ever had to end a friendship to save a romantic relationship? And have you ever had to end a romantic relationship to save a friendship?
I would go with the second.
Oh, okay.
I know the phrase with like bros before hoes in a sense, but
There you go. Yeah.
but you know, as he said and you said, that you've had these people with you growing through 25 years to 30 years to whatever, so they've seen you and they know who you are. And if somebody would have ill will against the people that you grew up with, just being the first 2-3 months of getting to know them, then who are they really going to be in your life? And so that situation occurred, and I said, well, look, if you, and I think for me, I say that also with regards to the social dancing scene. Yeah. It's not even like meeting a girl, bringing her into the scene, and then suddenly like, well, I don't like that girl because she looks at you very funny or a different way. It's like, no, just like a friend. I've been dancing around with her, and he's been around. We've all been part of a crew, and if you can't handle it from the beginning, this is not going to work. Like I said from the beginning, it's like this has to be a situation where you're not just taking me, the solo person that I am, but me and the tribe that I surround myself with. Yeah. And if you can't accept the tribe, then you can't accept me.
So true. And I mean, you were, or maybe still are, the number 1 bachata king dance champion. And you know, in bachata, they got moves. They got moves. I feel like when I dance with somebody who's doing bachata and they're my lead, I'm like, yes, I'm going to melt in this 3 minutes of our dance together. I mean, and then you go on. So yeah, it takes a certain person to actually know and accept that part of you. Yeah. And because bachata and the dance community, I mean, kizumba, you do it all. You do it all. And it's a very sensual dance. Yeah. And somebody who's outside of that, who does not understand that that's a sensual dance, there is going to be a sense of movement, and you're sharing a sacred energy and space. If they don't understand that, that's definitely that can be a
red flag.
A red flag. I mean, is it? And or do you have to dim your light to save that relationship? Do you have to dim your light and forget everybody that you've built this relationship with for so long because you want to make that work? Yeah. Is it worth that investment? Is it worth that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Probably not.
No, probably not. No, yeah. The answer is no.
Yeah, probably not.
You know, like you said, yeah, I built myself up to who I am today with the collection of experiences that have created who I am. And part of that, a massive part of that, is the people that I surround myself with. I am who I am because of the people that I surround myself with. And if the people I'm surrounding myself with get judged because of the misunderstanding or just unawareness of what the situation is, or needless to say, maybe not even the wanting to understand, then that's going to be a challenge from the beginning. And imagine trying to then make that longer and longer. That's not only going to be a point of tension, that's going to be a point of break. Yeah. Faster than you think it's going to be.
We can keep going and going.
I know.
And I mean, I love this conversation so much because I think that I hear from people in my DMs who are like, how do you have such strong male friendships? Oh, doesn't your husband get jealous? And it's like, wow, because that's not the norm. right? It's not the norm because either A, you haven't had those conversations in your relationship, in your core romantic partner relationship, and or you haven't had those boundaries or discussions with the opposite sex folks in your life that you want to have those deeper, meaningful relationships with. And you know, fam, this is the brave table. So I love that you both were able to share this wisdom, and because it was so much needed. And now that we get into our final segment, Spill the Chai. I know you picked up some cards, so let's go. They're picking up from our That's Like Now What conversation card prompts, our 44 card deck. There you go. Thank you, Vanna, if you're watching this on YouTube. All right, go for it.
You can go first.
You can go for this. That's a good one.
Hey,
That's a good one.
Yeah, but I also spoke most the last time, so you can go.
Okay, what's something you catch yourself saying often that you want to remove from your vocabulary? Actually, it's not going to be related to this topic.
Yeah.
But it's been something like as a theme that I've been learning a lot, about, and it's through from one of my best buddy, from Ajit. It's just my relationship with money.
Ooh.
That part. I think that has been a massive shift in the last few days that I've been here. I've seen him give amazing presentation to 5,000 people plus, and as much as I was super proud to kind of see him on the stage and talk about this thing openly, owning it, I also was just reprogramming myself with it. My relationship with that is amazing. I love it, but there were still certain things which in my vocabulary were coming out wherein it wasn't 100% landing with my brother, and he called me out on this one. And so that's for me. That is that. It's it's a little different, a little off topic, but I still wanted to share it because that was amazing.
It's beautiful. It's the power of community.
All right. Oh, do I answer that or do I use this?
You can use yours.
This one, okay. Great prompt, by the way. What's a pet peeve you used to have that you've learned to accept?
Oh.
Ooh, this is a tough one. It's a deep one. I've learned to accept that not everyone has as an amazing life as I have. It's like I said earlier, I almost have to have empathy on the opposite side of saying like how lucky I am to be able to have all these amazing experiences, have these amazing people that I'm surrounding myself with, that my journey is different from that person's journey. Even like coming from, let's say, for example, even my parents, it's like I've learned to accept that their journeys was different from mine.
Yeah.
And the first time that really came to fruition for me or was vocalized for me was after walking the Camino de Santiago de Compostela in 2021.
Wow, I want to do that with the fam.
And there was a Filipino priest in Santiago. His name is Father Manny. Father Manny, what's up? And Father Manny, amazing story. In short, he was one of the first to really go through that whole journey of the Camino all the way that were in the original ones.
Wow.
And then came back to the Philippines, basically traveled around the Philippines to talk about how amazing that journey was, became a parish priest of one of the main churches there. And then when the amount of people that started going to Camino were Filipino, they needed an ambassador to become, in a sense, the liaison for all the Filipinos that are coming to the Camino de Santiago. And him being one of the first people to really go and go to this Camino and talk about it, he was in a sense nominated, which is ironic because when he was younger, his dream was to be an ambassador. And besides that, one of the reasons why he was nominated was also because as part of a fellowship program that he did, he was placed in something called the God Box at Columbia University, where they put 5 religious leaders in an apartment in New York City and let them live with each other for like 6 months to a year. And if they're 6 months or a year, you had a Jewish rabbi, you had a Christian minister, you had a Roman Catholic priest, you had a Muslim imam, you had I don't know, there was 5, a Buddhist monk or something like that, and put them all in one apartment. And their thesis at the end there was like, okay, from your lens and your religion, how was your experience with living with other religions on a daily basis?
That's huge.
And so his heart, he's a guy that, yes, he's a Catholic priest, but he meditates in the morning, Buddhist style. He loves his bagels and, all that stuff. So he's an amazing character in my life because when we sat down after my Camino, I said, I said, Father Manny, you have such an amazing backstory. Did you share that backstory to my mom when she was here, when she went to her Camino? She goes, Erwin, you got to understand, your mother's journey is different from your journey. Your mother's Camino was different from your Camino. You chose paths on the Camino that were your own. She chose her path on her own. So you can't tell her what she needs to change in her journey because she already did it.
Yeah.
So for you, even though she might not always accept what the journey you've taken, she has to know that it's something you took yourself and it's a choice that you made yourself. So you just both have to, like I said, accept that you have separate journeys. And I think from the friends that I've met now in the future, I say, look, if this is going to work, I'm going to try to understand you, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be best friends.
Yeah.
And that's kind of pretty much how that was a pet peeve for me before. It's like, hey, how come you're not as enlightened? Or, you should come join this thing or do this thing. But now I'm like, hey, if it's not your thing, it's all good. Yeah. It's my thing. So.
Love it, man.
Love it. And we always end with a question.
Spicy?
One word that describes this season of life.
Blooming.
Blooming. I love that.
Oh, wow.
Alrighty.
This season of life, greatness.
Bring it. Bring it. Wow, where can everybody get a load of you and follow you for more, all of the amazing things?
Oh, me. On socials at Erwin B Valencia, ERWIN B VALENCAA, but also please support Gratitude Gang, nonprofit foundation that helps mental health for the kids in the indigenous and island communities in the Philippines. Gratitudegang.org.
It's himi.jocker, HIMI.JAKHAR on Insta.
There you go. All right. This was amazing, enlightened. I'm so honored and just grateful to have you both in my life as brothers, as humans that I love and adore so much, and I cherish this conversation, and I think it's going to be really impactful for so many people. So thanks for being here, and thanks so much for tuning in. Until next time on The Brave Table. Wow! Oh my gosh, we're on the other side! Did you just fall in love with my two broskies? My brother besties. They were freaking amazing. And you can go ahead and follow Erwin at erwin.b.valencia. I'm actually probably butchering it, so you'll probably have to go and look at it at the show notes. And then himi.jocker. He's also on Instagram. And if you've loved this episode about relationships, how to cultivate meaningful relationships, go ahead and tell us what you think. Tell us what you think on Instagram. Drop a note below on YouTube here. We love, love, love. We've grown so much. Thanks to you all. We have over 500,000 views on YouTube. You've made this happen. And if you haven't already given us a 5-star review, what are you waiting for? Go ahead. Go to Apple right now, wherever you are. Spotify. Subscribe, like the top left corner of your app on iTunes and or Spotify. And if you haven't already, we would love a 5-star review. You can go ahead, scroll all the way down to Apple iTunes and hit 5 stars. And when you screenshot that review, we will go ahead and give you a free gift. So all you have to do is send it to support@globalgrit.co. That's support@globalgrit.co. And last but not least, we have 3 other additional episodes that you are just going to love in creating meaningful relationships, also linked below in the show notes. I will see you next time. Don't forget to be just a little bit more brave.